嫌だ。死にたくない。もう一度チャンスがあれば。
There is a moment in solo leveling that nobody talks about enough. Not the moment Sung Jin-Woo unlocks his powers. Not the moment he becomes the Shadow Monarch. Not even the moment he defeats the most powerful being in existence. The moment I'm talking about is much smaller than all of that. It's the moment a weak, broke, terrified young man walks into a dungeon, knowing he might not come back out, and goes in anyway. Not because he's brave, not because he has power, but because his mother is sick, his sister needs school fees, and he has absolutely nothing else to offer the world except his willingness to die trying. That is where Sung Jin-Woo's story begins. And that beginning is exactly why his transformation is the greatest glow-up in anime history. Let's be honest about something first. When we talk about glow-ups in anime, we always go to the same names. Naruto going from a lonely kid to Hokage.
I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and my future dream is to be the greatest Hokage!
Goku breaking limit after limit. Zoro training until he bleeds. And those are incredible transformations. Nobody is taking that away. But here is the difference. Every single one of those characters had something Jin-Woo didn't. Naruto had the 9 tails sealed inside him, raw power from birth. Goku was a Saiyan, a warrior race literally built for combat. Zoro had talent. Real, undeniable, terrifying talent. Sung Jin-Woo had nothing. Not potential, not a hidden power, not a secret bloodline waiting to awaken. He was ranked E, the absolute bottom. The weakest hunter in a world full of hunters. The guy other hunters felt sorry for. The guy who survived dungeons not because of skill, but because he was just careful enough, just lucky enough, just desperate enough to make it out alive one more time. And then one day, his luck ran out. The double dungeon incident didn't just almost kill Sung Jin-Woo. It broke him. Think about what he experienced in that dungeon, watching his teammates die around him, solving a puzzle with trembling hands, knowing one wrong move means death. And then, when he thinks it's over, a second dungeon appears. A trap, a nightmare inside a nightmare. He dies in that dungeon. Clinically, actually, he dies. And when he wakes up, something is different. A floating interface only he can see. A system that has chosen him for reasons nobody understands. A second chance that comes with one brutal condition: keep growing or face penalties that could kill him all over again. Now, here is where the psychology gets interesting. Most people, if given a second chance at life, would be grateful, would take it slow, would be careful. Jin-Woo did the opposite. He threw himself into the grind with a ferocity that was almost self-destructive. Daily quests, dungeons alone, training until his body gave out, pushing past every limit the system set in front of him. Why? Because Sung Jin-Woo had spent his entire life feeling powerless, and for the first time, he had found something that responded to effort. Something that said, the more you push, the more you grow. For a man who had never been rewarded for trying, that was everything. But here is what most people miss about Jin-Woo's transformation. It wasn't just physical. Yes, he went from E rank to a level that made S rank hunters look like beginners. Yes, his body changed. His speed, his strength, his ability to survive things that should be unsurvivable. But the real glow up was happening inside. In the beginning, Jin-Woo was invisible. Not just weak, invisible. People looked through him. Other hunters pitied him or ignored him. He walked into rooms and nobody noticed. Watch how he carries himself after the system. Watch his eyes. There is a moment early in his transformation where another hunter tries to intimidate him, and Jin-Woo just looks at him. No words, no reaction. Just a calm, cold stare that makes the other man step back without understanding why. That is not a skill the system gave him. That is a man who has decided he will never be invisible again. Psychologists call this a fundamental attribution shift. When a person's core belief about themselves changes so completely that even their body language, their presence, the way they occupy space becomes different. Jin-Woo didn't just get stronger, he rewrote who he believed he was. And then came the shadows. This is the part of Jin-Woo's glow-up that elevates it above every other transformation in anime history. Every strong character builds power by themselves. They train, they unlock new forms, they get stronger as individuals. Jin-Woo built an army. Every enemy he defeated, every monster, every boss, every creature that tried to kill him became his soldier. He didn't just overcome his enemies, he absorbed them. He turned every threat into an asset. Think about what that means psychologically. Every experience that was meant to destroy him became part of his strength. Every trauma, every near-death, every moment of helplessness, in Jin-Woo's world, those things literally became his power. His greatest battles didn't break him, they added to him. There is a real psychological concept called post-traumatic growth. The idea that certain people, after surviving extreme trauma, don't just recover, they become fundamentally stronger, more capable, more themselves than they were before. Sung Jin-Woo is post-traumatic growth personified. Now if you're watching this and thinking, okay, this is impressive, but so is Naruto's journey, so is Goku's, let me give you the final piece of the argument. And this is the piece that closes the debate. Sung Jin-Woo became the Shadow Monarch. Not a powerful hunter, not an S rank, not even the strongest human. He became a being that exists outside the normal rules of power entirely. A monarch whose authority over shadows and death is absolute. A being that even the rulers, cosmic entities who had been fighting a war for eons, had to acknowledge. He started as the weakest human in a world of hunters. He ended as something that made the most powerful beings in the universe stop and pay attention. No other character in anime history has that gap. Naruto went from weak kid to Hokage within the human world. Goku went from low-class Saiyan to universal-level fighter, but he was always a fighter. Jin-Woo went from a man who had no business surviving a low-level dungeon to a being that rewrote the laws of an entire universe. That gap is unmatched. That transformation is unmatched. And that is why this is the greatest glow-up in anime history. But before we get to the end, if this breakdown is making you see solo leveling differently, if you want more of this, deep dives into the psychology and meaning behind your favorite anime characters, subscribe right now. So what does Sung Jin-Woo's transformation actually mean? Because great anime always means something beyond the surface. And solo leveling, beneath all the action and the power fantasy, is telling a very specific story. It is the story of what happens when someone who has been told their entire life that they are not enough finally finds an environment that rewards pure effort. Jin-Woo was never actually weak. He was in the wrong system. In the hunter world, power is something you are born with. You either have the talent or you don't. And by that measure, Jin-Woo had nothing. But the system didn't care about talent. It cared about effort, about consistency, about showing up every single day and doing the work even when everything hurt. And in that system, Jin-Woo was unstoppable. How many people in the real world are living Jin-Woo's first chapter right now? Trapped in systems that don't reward what they have to offer, told they are not enough by metrics that were never built for them. Jin-Woo's story says, find the right system, find the environment that rewards what you actually are, and then outwork everyone. That message is why solo leveling resonates with millions of people who have never read a manhwa in their life. We all have an E-rank chapter. The question is whether we keep walking into the dungeon anyway. Sung Jin-Woo started with nothing. No power, no support, no reason for anyone to believe in him, and he became the Shadow Monarch, the most powerful being in his universe. Through nothing but relentless, painful daily growth. That is not just the best glow-up in anime history. That is one of the most human stories ever told in animation. Because it doesn't say you need to be special to become great. It says, show up, survive, grow, repeat. And one day, the world that ignored you will have no choice but to see you. Sung Jin-Woo saw you, and now you know why his glow-up stands alone. Drop a comment below. Who do you think has the second best glow-up in anime history? Let's argue about it. And if this video made you think differently about solo leveling, subscribe, because we are just getting started.